Hey y'all, we're gonna review Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 11, Episode 1, titled Out of the Woods, Back in the Streets. And if you enjoy this review, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into it. So the episode opens up with a montage of Spice and her reaction to her Grammy nomination and her interviews with Charlamagne the God and, Breakfast Club. And then articles and a voiceover about her being in the hospital and in critical condition and unresponsive and all that stuff, and basically saying that it was because of her BBL. And then they show Spice getting help, being seated for her confessional, and then the producer asked how she doing, and she says she's been better. And then they show clips of her in the ambulance and stuff like that. And she says that her world had come crashing down. Spice said the last thing she remembered before going into her emergency surgery was all the puzzled and concerned looks on everybody's faces, basically looking like, well, how is she still alive, she says. And then they show clips of her scar tissue from her surgery and all that stuff. And Spice says she was fighting for her life because of a sepsis infection that went through her whole entire body. And she says that it was hell. And then they show a video that Spice recorded of herself saying that she might sound crazy, but on October 31st, 2022, she died and God gave her a second chance. And she's so grateful to be here. And that date gave me pause because that was the same day that Takeoff died. So I was just like, okay, that's a little suspicious. Not saying that she had anything to do with it, but just that specific date, that was a bit wild. Or was it October 31st that he died at night, or was it like the early mornings of November 1st? Somebody let me know the specifics because I don't exactly remember. I just know it was like Halloween time. And then they show 3 months later at Spice's house with her kids. And then the confessional, Spice says that having her family with her since she got out of the hospital is a sense of strength for her, and says that her mom brought her kids over from Jamaica after hearing all of the stuff in the news about her being sick and all of that. But she needed to hug and see them and to be around them. Spice says that school is about to start, so the kids have to go back with her mom to Jamaica, and because she's an artist and she travels a lot, she feels like it's safer for the kids to be with their grandmother, and says seeing them go back is sad for her. And I was gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember Spice having no kids at all. But then when she says Nicola Toy, which is her daughter's name, that sounds so familiar. So, but maybe they just never show the kids. I'm not sure. Maybe she just always talked about them. But that was basically the end of her little scene. So the next scene is a montage of Kirk and Rashida, and then they show Mena and Yandy and Jock and other people getting out of their cars to show up to this hype hair event. And then they kind of go down the list of all the celebrities that are there on the cast and ask them certain questions. And they start with Kirk asking how he keeps things fresh in his marriage. And I'm just like, maybe that's the wrong person to ask that kind of information. But Kirk gives them the generic, they lovers and friends. They just be excited to work together. All cute and dainty. Someone asked Mena if her relationship with Safari has gotten any better. And she says that there isn't any relationship, he just deals with the kids and that's it. And then someone asked this Rennie girl, she's new to the cast, about her breakup with somebody. And then, lo and behold, they get to good old Scrappy, child. Before we get into what was asked by the reporter to him, just look at this man. He looked run down and tired and beat down and just stressed. He looked like he needs some water. He looked dehydrated, y'all. Like, oh my goodness. And it's not even like any of the stuff he going through, somebody else put him through. He did this shit to himself. It's just hard to look at him. Oh my goodness. He looked stressed. I guess the little reporter asked Scrappy, like, on an update with his relationship with Bambi. And he really just ain't have much to say. And then the little friend next to him, whose name is Chaotic, just says that we're healing. and they all kind of laugh and kiki and shit, like it was funny. And then in a confessional, Jock says that the Hype Hair magazine is celebrating black excellence, and they decided to put him and his wife Kendra on the front of the magazine. And he says that in the last year, he and his wife have definitely defined their relationship, and that they're more in love than they've ever been. I guess, child, I don't know. That's what they say every season at the beginning of the season, right? Jock asked the little chaotic fellow that since he be in Miami, has he heard anything about Spice? And then Chaotic says that he's talked to Spice and she's doing good, and that she's strong and uplifting. And then Chaotic introduces himself in his confessional and says that we know him from Love and Hip Hop Miami. And they show a little clip of him looking like Kodak Black, bruh. And then he says he got too big for his city, basically, so he moved to the ATL. Well, he's going to have to move somewhere else bigger because Atlanta ain't but so big either, so... So Erica and Rashida couldn't wait to talk about the elephant in the room. Erica asked Rashida if she's spoken to Bam, and Rashida says she has, and Erica says that she's worried about her friend and says that they got a busload of kids and all this stuff. And Rashida says that she doesn't think Scrappy has adapted to the whole idea and concept of being a husband and a father and actually having a family and stuff. Kirk says that he tells Scrappy that Bambi is really giving him a chance to get his shit right. And Erica says Bambi calls Scrappy to say come spend time with the kids, but deep down she's really asking him to come home. And Scrappy in his confessional says that everybody knows that last year he and Bambi were trying to work things out, but says now it seems that she's filed for divorce. Scrappy says that it tears him up that they're at this point because it seems like it's real. And then the MC or host tells everyone to head outside for a surprise, and then Jock gets on stage and announces Erica Banks, and she goes on stage and starts doing her thing and performing and stuff. And then in her confessional, Erica Banks introduces herself and says that she's the girl that did the Bust It song on TikTok. And it was like, oh my gosh, that's her. Come on, sis. But as she's performing, you can tell Scrappy feeling her and stuff. And then in his confessional, he says that, wow, that's Erica Banks. He says that he, don't get him wrong, he's still hurting and everything about Bambi, but he's liking the view, basically, of Erica. In his confessional, Jock says with the right guidance, he thinks that Erica Banks could be the next big thing. And at first I was like, I don't know about all of that because, they always say that. About all the new girls that be on the show or any new rapper or whatever. But then Erica said that she was from Texas. So she might be onto something. Because, I love me Meg Thee Stallion. And both the crowd and Scrappy seem to enjoy her. Definitely Scrappy. So they might be onto something, yeah. Chaotic says that this was a really nice event. And Kirk says that they have one coming up. And in the confessional, Rashida says that she and Kirk decided to shut down their little bistro place and revamp it. And everybody around the table seems excited about it, especially Scrappy, but also kind of like, whoa, what happened? And then they go to Erica Banks, and she's heading into the main area with everybody. And then in her confessional, she says that she feels that her performance was great, but now it's time to get lit and get familiar with everybody because that's what her label wants her to do. Erica Banks goes to the table where Rashida and Erica Mena are, and they hug or whatever, and then the Rennie girl shows up while Erica Mena and Rashida are hyping up Erica Banks. And in her confessional, Rennie says that there's a situation where her and Erica Banks is really weird because Erica started dating a guy who obviously had a crush on Rennie, and Erica felt some type of way about it. Rennie says she's going to keep it cute and walk around the party as if Erica wasn't there or not. Basically, she got a nasty attitude so far, and I'm already not feeling this bitch. Erica Mena tells the table, who now has Scrappy, Jock, and Kendra, not to drink too much tonight because they have to go out, and if any of them embarrass her, she's leaving them. And Scrappy says Erica already unfollowed him, so he guessed that she already left him. And Erica's like, oh, Scrappy, don't do that. But she is mad at him, though. And Scrappy says, yeah, and he's mad at her. They all mad at each other because they only heard one side, just like a nigga. He could be out here sucking and fucking and doing whatever, but they only ever heard one side. Because you out here hiding, ashamed of what it is that you're doing. And Rashida says that she's not mad at nobody. And in her confessional, Mena says that she really wants Scrappy to wake up because Bambi is really a ride or die for him and hopes that he gets it because what he's about to lose, he can never get back. So at this point, everyone's left the table that they were just at, and then Erica Banks walks up to where Scrappy is and side hugs him and says that the last time she saw him, he was hella lit somewhere. And Rashida sees Erica Banks and Scrappy laughing and says to Mena, are you kidding me? You know, a whole thirst pot. And Mena is just shaking her head in disapproval, like she's a disgruntled school teacher or some shit, and he is just the class clown student. Like, girl, mind your business. In the confessional, Rashida says Scrappy is still on some BS, and he isn't even wearing his wedding ring, and says that he's still married, but says that Bambi don't really play, so if she were Scrappy, she'd just chill for real. This man don't care. He has stopped fighting a long time ago. Why you think he showed up there without his wedding ring? He don't give a fuck. But that's the end of that scene. So now we with the Bam, and in her confessional, she says that the last time they saw her and Scrappy together, he finally stood up to his mom while they were in Vegas, and then they show the clip of Scrappy talking to Mama D. Bambi says she and Scrappy have gone through a lot, and they've had a lot of beautiful moments as well. And then they show clips of their new house, him proposing, and then him telling his friends that they got a baby on the way. But Bambi says that on the flip side that they've had some very terrible moments. They show clips of Bambi telling Scrappy that Mama D be violating and she be trying to bring people into their relationship. And then they show a video of Scrappy kissing that one girl, I think her name was Shay. And then clips of Bambi and Scrappy fighting when he kind of like shoved her out the way and then she kind of pushed him back. Look, that's a big girl. I would not try and fight her if I were him. But Bambi says that when they got back from Vegas, she was hopeful about their relationship, but it's been a nightmare. So that's definitely outweighed all of the beautiful moments that they've had. So Bambi is meeting with this woman, and at first I wasn't sure if that was her lawyer or her therapist, but she asked Bambi how she's doing, and Bambi says that she's getting through with it. And then in the confessional, Bam says that she's finally made a decision to file for divorce once and for all. And as her lawyer talks about what they will do to get started with everything, Bambi starts to tear up. And in the confessional, Bambi says that that's a wrap. So that confirmed that she was her lawyer and she's ready for these papers. The next scene shows Yandy and Sierra meeting up, and Yandy's talking about how she just needs a girls' night out. And then Mena walks in with Jessica White, and then Rashida walks in all cheery and stuff, and Sierra's like, oh, what's this fit you got on? And Jessica and Erica come in and hug everyone, and they introduce themselves, and Erica says that, oh, this is Jess, my friend, she's a model. And in the confessional, Jessica introduces herself and all her credentials and how she's a model and how she's replaced Tyra Banks on CoverGirl and all that good stuff. Rashida tells them that she knows they're all women and entrepreneurs and moms making it happen, and says that she knows she has a lot of things going on and she just wants to release sometimes. And Jessica's like, yeah, you know, you look like you're getting ready for war, just laughing and stuff. And then in confessional, Rashida says, so what better way to pull all the girls together than a little bit of wine and a little bit of smash and shit all around the room, and of course catching up on a little bit of tea. Rashida says she did her due diligence and printed out pictures of everyone's significant others because she knows that at some point that they've pissed them off enough to make them want to mess them up and beat them up. And Rashida straight gave his Erica Mena pictures of Safari, and everyone is just kikiing like, oh my goodness. And Yandy says that she cannot. And then Rashida gives Yandy hers and says, that's her man. She wants to stick by him. I'm like, girl, shut up. You spend too much time on TikTok. And then Yandy said that's her man. She wants to stick by him, but he getting his ass whooped tonight though. And Rashida says that she had to bring 3 pictures of Kirk. In her confessional, Sierra says when it comes down to business, she has that under control. But as we know, her relationships are always rocky. And says her and Eric, they had this amazing engagement party and plan to get married in Cabo, but she doesn't know now. Everything just seems real rough for them and they just don't get along. So, let's smash some shit tonight because she got a lot of stress to, release anyway. And Rashida says that she's sorry to Jess that, that she didn't know that she was coming, and asked if, she had any ex or current that be pissing her off. Jessica tries to be all coy and says, she's good right now. And she gonna save that for later. But Rashida says that she knows Sierra's face, so they gonna get into it later. And then they show all the ladies start smashing stuff, and Jess is just so dainty and girly with it. And Yandy in the confessional says that everything about Jess is just class and grace. And I was like, yeah, but it's kind of corny. Like, girl, you supposed to be fucking shit up. This a rage room. You supposed to get that shit out. And then in the confessional, Rashida says, now they doing supermodel smashing, and says that this ain't it. And Yandy tells Jessica to break that shit, girl. Like, fuck it up. And when Jessica's trying to be all cute in the rage room, she says, this is for all the hoes. Like, girl, okay. Can we be a little more specific? Say no. And then Erica Mena gets into the room and starts talking about Safari and how he wasn't there while their son was sick and how he lied and said he wanted his family back. And of course it's emotional watching another woman go through that because she's so raw and real with it or whatever. But it just made me think, like, Nicki Minaj has Safari and now she's married to a sex offender. So would she have rather had her kids with Safari or with this nigga? All the ladies surround Erica and she asks, like, is it gonna get better? And Rashida's like, she's sorry, she didn't mean to change her mood. And Erica says she's fine. And then her confessional, she says it's still really emotional for her that Safari abandoned her when she really needed him and all of that, but she's glad that she has her girls there and they felt what she felt. Rashida turns to Jess and says that as she saw her breaking stuff for the hoes, if she dealt with any of something that's going on in her relationship. And Jess says that the most important relationship that she was ever in was one with someone that she really loved. And Sierra asked, was it with Nick Cannon? Jess nods her head and says she got humiliated so badly. And the ladies were like, oh. And in her confessional, Jess says that she and Nick were together for 8 years and she thought that he was going to be her end of dating and that he was going to be the father of her children, and it didn't work out that way and she really tried her hardest. And Jess tells the ladies that she had a miscarriage and then ended up finding out that he had gotten another woman pregnant, and says that she was destroyed publicly and went from being Jessica White to someone's harem member, and she didn't even realize that it was happening. And all the women were just like, wow. And someone was like, wow, that's deep. Yes, because you can be fucking with a dude for it don't matter how long, and you just wanted his chickens in a coop, just like the rest of these bitches, and you don't even be knowing. And ever since she and Nick haven't been together, this nigga has gotten how many more kids? since they broken up. Like, these niggas just do whatever they want, bruh. Whatever they want. In her confessional, Jess is emotional and says that for the last 8 years, she was delusional and it wasn't love and that he didn't love her. And Rashida says that she knows shit is painful and she's been through a lot in her life and that it's just something to learn from anything. And Jess says that she's been clinging to God and trying not to make the same mistakes. And Yandy says that she's been through what they all have been and it's good to have people in your corner. And then that scene ends. So now we're back to Spice, and in her confessional she says she's sending her kids back to Jamaica and it has her heart broken, but it's hard for her because she knows what her schedule will be like when things are back to normal. And Spice hugs her kids, and in her confessional she says her son is a mama's boy, so when he cries she cries, and she says that she doesn't want to be apart from them, and knowing that they'll be thinking about her and worried about her because of, her incident and having to go into the hospital. Spice says saying bye to her kids this time feels different because they know what she's been through, but her kids have been her strength and helping her heal. And then she tells her cousin that they've been through it, and her cousin says that she doesn't want to go through it again. Spice says that every time she thinks about the situation, she gets emotional because she had to call her sister and tell her that things weren't looking good. And Nancy says that, yeah, it was really bad at that point. And Spice says that the hardest part was her kids seeing everything about her health on the internet and it's saying that she was dead and stuff and that they just didn't know what was true and what was going on. And Spice says that she can't imagine what that does to a kid. I know those kids are too young, so they really couldn't say yes or no whether or not they wanted to go back. But if that were me, I would not leave my mother alone ever again. I would be like, nah, we're going to have to change schools over here, do something, because I got to keep my eye on you, child. You can tell that Spice is very visibly shaken about everything that happened. And in her confessional, she says that her kids are her life and that if they had lost her, it would be very, very hard for them. And then that's the end of the scene. Thank God Spice is still here with us, y'all. So we got Scrappy meeting up with Kirk and Chaotic, and Scrappy says he's having a bad day. And Kirk says that they're about to ride ATVs. In a confessional, Kirk says Scrappy been hitting him up about how he's been going through shit and says that getting out in the country will give them, some bonding time. And while the boys are having fun with their toys, and Scrappy says riding ATVs was a nice little stress reliever for him. And Kirk asks, what's the latest, what's going on? And Scrappy tells him that Bambi filed for divorce and that he's not going to unfile it. And she did it, so he's just going to go with the flow. And Kirk asks him, so you just not going to fight? And Scrappy said that he's been fighting the whole relationship, doing special stuff for her, and everybody's seeing it, and Bambi doesn't acknowledge it. So, it's whatever for him. And Scrappy says that he's missed out on money and not doing shows and stuff because he knows that he has to be better for her and her feelings and be there and stuff. And she wants him to help with the house but not make the money, and said that, it was a problem before the text messages. He slipped up and mentioned that part. Both Kirk and Chaotic were like, whoa, back up. What text message you talking about? And Scrappy says he didn't do nothing. He was just talking and flirting and shit. And Chaotic asked Scrappy, so she cut you off for that? For just texting? And Scrappy says it was because of the person that he was texting. And Chaotic asked who the person was. He asked, was it Shay? And Kirk put an X sign up with his arms. And Scrappy, was just looking away. And Chaotic was like, an X? And Scrappy was like, yeah, it was an X. And Chaotic asked, what X? Was it Shay? And Scrappy says, no. Chaotic then guesses Diamond, and Scrappy says, yeah. In a confessional, Scrappy says he and Diamond started talking late 2005 and stopped going together late 2011. That is so, childish to say they stopped going together. Boy, just stay, so y'all stop dating. Like, oh, he need to grow up. But then he says they went on the Millennial Tour and Diamond was there too because she was a part of Crime Mob. And Scrappy says that he was just on demon time and, you know, he lost himself again, and he always does when it comes to the women. Scrappy says the stuff that Diamond was telling him was making him feel better about himself, and that's all it takes is for one to just be like, oh no, it's okay, oh no, you're fine, because all they want is their ego stroked. They can't stand when they being told what they doing wrong, but as long as they being told what they doing right, they don't care about nothing else. And Chaotic says that he's Team Scrappy regardless. And Scrappy says that he's just going to sit and wait because Bambi is the one who filed the papers. In his confessional, Kirk says he obviously wants to tell Scrappy to go home to his family and, you know, to try and fight for his marriage, but says that he won't come out and say that to Scrappy because Scrappy's going to think that he's taking Bambi's side. And the thing is, though, you can't be afraid of hurting your bro's feelings. He needs to hear this shit. He's a grown-ass man. He's not a 5-year-old. He out here making children and shit, getting married, texting bitches. He can hear the truth from his bro. But see, Kirk has been in the hot seat, too. So it's like, well, how dare you tell me anything? And I get it, but y'all got to be honest with your little boyfriends, your little guy friends, because they gonna run amok, and it's gonna cause Rashida to be pissed at Kirk just because that's his little friend. So he better speak up and tell his friend to chill out. Scrappy says he don't care about what Bambi's doing or that she's out here telling everybody fake news. And then that's the end of their scene. He ended with a tantrum and an attitude, of course. All the cast are meeting up somewhere, and in the confessional, Rashida says they're revamping Frost Bistro, and it's been going on for a few years now, and it's been pretty heavy, so they want to do a tasting event. Kirk says he's nervous about them tasting the food and their honest feedback, but he and Rashida know how to bring good food in a good environment. And Rashida and Kirk explained to everyone why they wanted to try the food and how they want to create a new brunch spot. And everybody basically likes the food and all that. And then Erica Mena asks Chaotic, what's his motives to being there. And Chaotic says that he's there to find love and says that he's a great catch. His only flaw is that he's controlling. And he says that he wants to control Erica Banks as she walks over. In the confessional, Bambi says she doesn't really know Chaotic, but when she sees Scrappy hanging out with him, it's cringy to her, and that he messes with girls everywhere, anywhere, and basically it's just like, he need to grow up. And Chaotic spits his little corny game to Erica Banks, and she entertains the mess, but it's kind of cute a little bit at the same time. And in the confessional, Bambi says, looking at Chaotic, she's getting more and more annoyed, and he's aggravating her. And then Bambi asks him if he has any kids or is married, because she saw him on IG standing next to Scrappy, encouraging his BS. And then the clip of him saying that Scrappy is healing and stuff now, because, he didn't want to talk about the Bambi situation. And Bambi tells him that he doesn't know her, but that was some BS for real. And she's starting to tear up some. And she says that Scrappy has a whole family, and Chaotic tries to say, he wasn't trying to hype up the mess, but Bambi says, nah, he really was. And Bambi says that it's okay not to say anything sometimes, because as adults and humans, you never know what's really going on, and says that that was her first impression of him, and it really wasn't a great one. I'm not gonna lie, though, I get it, because the question was directed towards Scrappy, and he kind of just jumped in to ease the tension, I guess, to make it, less tense, but still, I get it. He's speaking on something that don't really got nothing to do with him, so I understand. It's their marriage, so I understand where Bambi's coming from. Maybe not the correct place, but, she probably never gonna want to be in the same space as him again, so I get it. Chaotic says he was just supporting the bro, and Bam says, well, why not support the bro's family? And Chaotic says, well, wait a minute, he's not encouraging him to leave his family. And Bambi says to him that as another black man, he should have held Scrappy accountable. And Chaotic says that he apologizes if she took it like that, but he didn't mean it in that way. And in the confessional, Chaotic says that he's allowing Bam to take her stress out on him because he knows that she's hurting right now and she needs to let it out. And he knows that Scrappy is hurting right now and that, it's a very extreme situation that all of them are in. Erica Mena asks Bambi if she's okay, and Bambi says that she has to tell them something. Bambi says that she's been nothing but receptive to Scrappy and that she's basically just always taking care of him, and says that he's not paying his rent and because of that she has to find somewhere else to live. And in the confessional, Bambi says that Scrappy, he be on his own time and does his own things and does what he wants, and says that when she pays her bills, she assumes he does it at some point as well, but he hasn't. And she's trying to pull it together for her kids, but they have to find another place to live. Now that's some fucked up shit. Like, I get not wanting to fuck with the baby mom, but you got 3 whole kids with her. You can't just not pay your bills where your kids laying their head at just because you not there. That's fucked up to me. That's asinine. That don't even make no sense. Like, that is you saying you don't give a fuck about them kids. Like, fuck them kids for real. That's what that feel like. Not just fuck the baby mama. And see, what these niggas don't understand is that every time they do something that tries to hurt the mother of their children, or that does end up hurting the mother of their children, it also hurts the kids. And they never think of that. They always only just be in their own head because of their own pain. And not realizing that if you have just a little bit of emotional intelligence, you be able to sit and talk to your wife instead of not paying the rent, so now she gotta move. That's fucked up on so many levels. Rashida says, that's the kind of selfish shit she argues with Scrappy about all the time, because he's childish. He ain't grown the fuck up. And Bambi says that she knew his character and accepted certain things, but when it comes to him being arrogant and an asshole, it's just too much. And Jessica asks if, they really feel like they'll go through with the whole divorce thing. And Bambi says that he'll say he wants to fight and then does some weird shit on the internet. And Rashida says that she can't stand that damn social media. It makes her sick. And Bambi says that she hasn't seen anything change. Kirk says he's kind of seen this movie before and at this moment, and Scrappy needs to wake up before he loses it all, and says he's sorry to Bambi. And Bambi says, she thought that being emotional about all of this was over with, but I guess not. And then they end the scene. Of course, Kurt is sorry because Scrappy had to be the one to tell him, go fight for your marriage, stop fucking up and fucking on Rashida and creating other kids. Like, you niggas just don't get it until it's too late, and then y'all still end up saving y'all whole marriages and lives because these women don't want to get rid of the things that they've built, spent time with y'all. Like, y'all niggas are ungrateful. But that's the end of the scene. On to the next one. So Scrappy is packing some stuff, and in the confessional, Bambi says that when her and Scrappy moved into that house, they planned on having more kids and having so many more beautiful memories there. And before we get into anything else, stop having kids with people who are not emotionally intelligent. This man is a child. And y'all think just, well, having these kids with them is going to keep everything okay. No. Because now you're going to be raising your kids and you're going to be raising him because he don't have no emotional intelligence. In the confessional, Bambi says today they're packing up the house and she's doing it with Scrap. And it's a lot of tension and they haven't been talking, but she's trying her best to be cordial. And then she says to him that she likes how his dude is real nonchalant. And he's like, well, what you mean? And she says, he just seems like he has no care in the world. And he says, well, he's moving the stuff. Like, what you mean? It's crazy. And he says that he got a family or whatever, but she don't want it. She don't want that family. As soon as any little thing happens, she ready to just call it quits. And Bambi says, that's what you think? Like, like it just be one little thing. And he says, yep. Like, all right, here he go. Because he know he been fucking around, but it's just one little thing. Okay. Scrappy says he knows that he's done stuff, but it takes two. And Bambi says, so you thinks it takes two people to mess up a marriage? And he says, oh, yeah. And she's not the only one that's been hurt. And then the confessional, Scrappy says that he definitely feels Bambi gave up on their marriage. And, she has too many people in her corner on the negative side, causing her to make their shit go the wrong way, basically. Just in her ear, causing her to make decisions she shouldn't be, in his opinion. Bambi says he's walking around oblivious. And Scrappy says he's not. He's just trying to stay out the way. He over here with the kids trying to help her move. And I was like, what? I know this nigga didn't just lie and bring them kids up. Oh, they love that shit, don't they? Bambi is like, well, you picked a fine time to try and help do shit when he should have helped her try to stay in that house. And in the confessional, Scrappy says he feels like she don't love him and is hell-bent on getting a divorce, and shows him that she's been wanting to get a divorce. She just needed a reason. And he says that he's had plenty of reasons and he just didn't. And then they start arguing about who doesn't do what and all that shit. Married couple shit. In the confessional, Bambi says that in this relationship, she's had to clean up all his messes and she's supposed to hold him accountable, but he doesn't like that. And he just wants to do what he wants. And Scrappy tells Bambi that she's trying to drive him crazy and says that she doesn't take accountability. Bambi says she owns her shit and tells him that he brings people into their marriage. And Scrappy says she does too. And I thought he popped open a bottle of Patron because he seemed to get real lit later on, but apparently that was an apple juice, so my bad, y'all. I need my glasses. But Bambi says that he was just in somebody's DMs that he used to date, talking shit about her, and asked why he's still trying to be with her if she's just so bad. And he basically asked the same thing because he don't have nothing to argue with about. Bambi says she didn't know that he was that horrible, and then says that she started seeing him kind of act up on the millennial tour, and now it's starting to make sense where all that came from. And he like nodded his head like, yup, exactly. Like, you proud of breaking your family up, my nigga? Like, okay, fine, whatever. In the confessional, Bambi says the text between Scrappy and Diamond, they were like setting up meetups, like link ups after the shows and stuff, talking about which rooms they were at and all types of stuff. And she says, that's a different type of betrayal here. And Scrappy says that she's trying to make him look bad, and it's not working. And Bambi says that he's projecting onto her. And Scrappy says that, it's sabotage. And Bambi says that he's sabotaging his own career. He can't even go out and do what he need to do and come home. Their convo is getting so heated at this point that production is coming in, and he kind of like walking in and out, Scrappy just all over the place. And then he says to her that Bambi wants him to fail, and Bambi says that she wants her kids to have an amazing father. And then Scrappy walks out, and Bambi says in a facetious tone that, well, that went well. And that was the end of the episode. Child, for a first episode, that was a lot. They kicked it off well, okay? This Bambi and Scrappy thing is just so beyond me at this point. I can't keep up. But I do have a few videos on my channel that I have done about this situation. One about Bambi apologizing to Erica and Emani and everybody for her sneak dissing in her videos about the police reports from when Emani was younger. So I'll put that in the bio. And then I also did a video about Emani and Erica responding to Bambi, to all of her messy stuff from, the last few months. And I'll also put that in the bio. But if you enjoyed this review, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.